And I want to talk as well about Arsenal because it was no Aubameyang, no problem today. They got the 3-0 win. They were impressive against Southampton, but Aubameyang not even in the squad because of a disciplinary issue, Arteta said before the match. It's not the first time, is it? He missed out on the North London derby for another disciplinary issue. Not there today. He's the captain, supposed to be the leader of that side, and I just want to get your thoughts on what happens next.
I think for Aubameyang, I feel that, sometimes people might look at Aubameyang off the field and they might look at him and say maybe he's flash, but he's been doing it on the pitch since he's come to Arsenal, so people will never question you what you do off the pitch. But when you're not scoring and you're not putting in a lot of effort, then that's when you'll get questioned. And as club captain, you can't be breaking club rules like he has done. I mean, it's got to be a big thing to be left out of a squad. Arteta, he has to make that statement, because if Arteta let him off with it, then he's going to know that he's going to look like a weak manager, because other players might end up doing the same thing. And especially when the player's not playing well, it's an easy decision for Arteta.
That's the thing, when you're not informed,
exactly.
You just
he's probably
can't. The least you've got to do is show discipline.
Exactly, and I said it last week, when you're earning that amount of money, and I don't judge players how much they earn because I probably got overpaid as a player as well, but when you're earning over £300,000 a week, club captain, and you're not really scoring goals this season, the least you can do is stick to the rules. So he's let Arsenal down, and I'm sure the fans are furious because, yes, they didn't need him today. And if I'm an Arsenal fan and Arteta, it's going to be a long way back into that squad for Aubameyang.
He's missed a couple of big chances recently as well, hasn't he? A couple of absolute sitters as well. Do you think they're better off without it?
I think at the moment they are, and obviously we can't say the exact reason because we don't have 100% proof why he's been suspended. But if I'm hearing what it is, it's a bit of a shocker. During these COVID times, you can't really get away with doing what he's done. So,
yes. There's a photograph doing the rounds, isn't there, on social media that he was of a tattoo artist, shall we say, has put a picture up of him. Whether it is related to that or not, we don't know. We just know that picture is there. But it is enough for Arteta to drop him from the squad.
But you see as well, I saw this coming because against Manchester United he was brought off and he wasn't happy. But to be dropped for Everton as the club captain, big signing for the club, and for Nketiah to be brought on before you when he's refused a contract, then to be brought on last minute, I think there's like 5 to 10 minutes left in the game against Everton to be brought on. It's a bit, as a footballer, I've been there, it's a bit muggy. When you're the star player, he would have been sulking after that game.
Are you saying he's acting up because of what he did with Nketiah in the Everton game?
He wouldn't have done that this week, what he's done to break club rules, if he was playing in that team, 100%.
But he's done it before, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, but not what he's done this time. During this COVID situation now, and obviously we don't know 100% if he has travelled to a different country, but if he has, then it's COVID. Maybe you'll go to a restaurant if you're a footballer at worst now in these crazy times. So to go to a different country for a tattoo, I don't think he does that when he's on fire and he's starting in the team.
Do you think Arteta does exactly the same thing if he'd scored, say, for the last 5 or 6 games in a row? Or is it, as he said, it's just a non-negotiable?
Yeah, I think he does, because as a manager, if you don't lay down the law as a manager, he would have played under some managers who would have had similar approach. So if he'd be soft and let his star player off, then what example does that show to the young lads like Saka, Smith Rowe? So he has to be like that no matter if he's in form or out of form. But what he has done is that he's had a chance to play Lacazette. He's had a chance to play Odegaard today as well. They've performed 3-0. If I'm Arteta, I'm saying, you know what, Aubameyang, just stay at home until we need you.
Well, apart from the $300,000 a week, that's the only issue there. Let's talk to Duff, who is an Arsenal fan. Hi, Duff.
Hi there. I was at the game today, and Gabby's right on one thing and wrong on one. You're absolutely right, Gabby. He has thrown a sulk because of what's happened at Everton. And if he had not been embarrassed, as he probably sees it, at Everton and Man U, he would never have done that in a million years. And, the other thing he did was when he turned up late for the Spurs game last year, that was just his fixation with cars. and he left too late and he underestimated the traffic.
Couldn't choose what highway to drive.
To be fair, we've all done that in London.
Unbelievable. I mean, anyone who's driven in traffic, if you're trying to get to the Emirates, you leave in plenty of time. It's a nightmare, let alone if you're the captain. But the area where Gabby's wrong is the Arsenal fans today weren't furious. We gave up being furious with him about a year ago. This isn't something that's just been weeks or months in the offing. He's been playing poorly ever since Arteta gave him the armband. So it was brave of Arteta to make the decision that he's done, given that he was the one who created the problem in the first place by giving him the armband. We're a far better side without him. The fans there today were delighted when he wasn't either in the team or on the squad, because he's toxic now, I'm afraid. We've got all those young players who are doing good things and understand the discipline of Arteta and the other coaches there. The last thing they want to see is a guy who's setting himself above the club and above the rules. It's just not healthy. So we never felt so good, Gabby, today, knowing we're not in Europe, because he now is not Champions League cup tied. We could loan him, hopefully, in January to a last 16 Champions League club who will say, come on, we'll pay some of his money. He might help us progress. And we can get him out the club.
Duff, do you feel that it's a time? Do you feel that it's a time now where Arteta be's bold and says, you know what, I'm stripping him from the captaincy. I'm going to give it to, I don't know, a Tierney, even a Saka, also, or a young lad in the team, and say, you know what, that's it now. You've had too many chances. The responsibilities of a captain, you have failed, so you need to let it go.
How important is that, Gabby, in the group, that the captain is someone who plays by all of the rules, is someone who leads by example, and that you can look up to? Yeah,
it's massive, That's why during my career, I always thought that the captain should be like a centre-half, hardcore centre-half, a hardcore centre midfielder. The ones that are always going to be on a pitch talkative, the ones that always set that example as well. It's only nowadays that it's starting to be given to strikers and stuff, but you have to obey the rules. Once maybe when he was late for the game, but to have done what he's done this week, I think he's probably forgotten his mind, because he's not playing, that he is still the captain, the club captain. So if I'm Arteta and I'm a manager now, I'm taking it off him and saying, you know what, he took it off Xhaka. A big thing was made out of that, and he took it off Xhaka. So now I'll be saying, you know what, Aubameyang, you're not doing what a captain should do. We've got to take it off you. The
problem is, though, Duff, who do you give it to? Because who is in that Arsenal squad who's a standout captain?
Standout options, yeah. Tierney is that if you've had a poll amongst the fans, Tierney probably gets 60-70%, because even though he's struggling for his shirt right now, because the guy we got in from Benfica's had a fantastic season.
Tavares.
Tierney gives, that's him, Tavares. He gives 100%, and he creates, and he never moans. He's been a long time on the bench this season, and he never moaned once, even though he was our player of the season last year with Saka. And if you didn't give it to him, you give it to Lacazette. And the virtue...
He's out of contract, though, isn't he? Is he going to be there? That's going to be a short-term captain.
That's true, but if Arsenal are going to finish 4th or 5th, which we've probably accept 5th, and we've got a fighting chance of 4th and maybe winning a cup, if we're going to do that, we've got to have Lacazette playing virtually every game. And when he does play, and Gabby will know about this, he holds the ball up and he kicks on the shins and the back of his thighs. He does all the things that Aubameyang doesn't do.
He looks like he cares, doesn't he?
Captain. Absolutely. I actually think if they made Lacazette captain and said, come on, try and stay with us for the rest of the season, I think he'd sign a contract to stay. And he'd be perfect bringing on those youngsters.
But don't you worry as well of the same problem if Lacazette is given a bumper deal as well?
I don't think he will be, because of his age, you've got to ask the question, how many top clubs in Europe would give Lacazette a bumper deal for 2 years, given he's...
But no one wanted to give Aubameyang one, and Arsenal did. No one was touching Aubameyang, and you still give him 300 grand a week.
Absolutely right. It was a game of poker, and we should have called the bluff.
His agent was asking every club in the world, will you give it me? No.
Why do Arsenal keep doing this, though, Duff, and getting themselves into these contract situations?
Because the people running the club at the time, and this goes right back to Wenger and the mistakes he made with players he bought and sold, they're not strong enough to stand up to the players and say, you know what, we think you're actually asking for too much, and we're quite happy not paying you the 20 million for this year and next year and the third year. With that 60 million quid, we'll actually find the next Martinelli, who, by the way, was brilliant today and is the future of the club. they're just not strong enough to stand up to them. They call themselves businessmen, but at the end of the day, they're too often influenced by fans.
Gabby, do you think it would be a mistake if Lacazette goes and Aubameyang stays?
100%, but I think, let's not forget, Lacazette has some good games, but he's not very consistent himself. You know, he's at that age as well where if I'm an Arsenal fan, I want a young, you know, proven, you know, in the mid-25s, like Calvert-Lewin. He's perfect for Arsenal. Someone who's going to throw themselves around, got speed, can score goals, going to give everything for the team, professional. I think Arsenal, they've got Nketiah. I don't think he's good enough for Arsenal. You know, so I think they're short in that position.
What about Martinelli playing up front? I
Yeah,
know he
he's
can
good,
play out
but
wide as well, but could he be the future for them? He does really impress when he comes on.
But you can give him a chance, can't you? But what if he doesn't? That's the problem. What if you give him 5-6 games and he scores 1 or 2 goals? Is that enough to get Arsenal to where they want to be, top 4?
I'd love to see him get a good run of games, or just to see how good he is.
100%. He deserves one, definitely. When you've got your club captain messing around like he is, 100% he deserves a chance. And he's not in good form as well, Aubameyang. I'd give Martinelli a run of games.
If you think it's, and Duff felt the same thing, that it's a knock-on effect of him not playing or starting in the Everton game and him acting up because of that, do you think Arteta needs to be managing him in a different way, or do you think it's good management?
I think it's great management. I think
is he handling him right, is what I'm saying?
I think he is. I think Arteta played at a great level. He played for Arsenal, Everton. You know, he's not gonna, and he only played not that long ago. It's not as if he's like 60 years old. He's in his 40s, isn't he, Arteta? So he's not going to accept any player thinking they can do what they like, have their own rules. He knows that Aubameyang's not in great form. And even when Aubameyang sometimes scores in games, but he's not having the best of games, Arteta will bring him off. He wants every player to know in that team that I'm the manager. And I think the club will respect him for that. Maybe there'll be a bit...
Do you think there's a bit of a personal thing there as well, or do you think it's purely...
I think it's purely... Because he gave him the armband. If it was personal, he wouldn't have given him the armband, so he must like him. But when you're a manager, if you don't stick to them rules... Imagine Steven Gerrard now. He won't care if the best player at Villa, you know, broke the rules. He's still going to give them exact same punishment as someone who isn't a big player, because you have to stamp your authority on a team. Like, I've got a story from when I played at Aston Villa, and I give up the captaincy. I was club captain. Margaritas was captain on the field. I was vice captain on the field. And I went away on holiday during international break, got caught smoking shisha at that time. And as footballers, you know, we're meant to be robots who aren't allowed to do anything. So anyway, I got in trouble for that. And I decided to, you know what, I got a lot of heat for it. So I said, you know what, I'll give up the armband. You know, give up the role as club captain, and I passed it over, and maybe that's something that Aubameyang needs to do.
Was that because you didn't want the extra attention and the extra pressure it brought, or because you just felt you weren't suited to it?
Yeah, I just feel that, like, maybe I wasn't professional enough for it. That's me being fair. You know, I feel that you can be a great captain on the pitch, but if you're not doing the right things off it, then you can't really be a captain of a club. So that's why mine was probably going to get taken off me anyway, but I give it up because I didn't feel like I was being professional off the field. So maybe that's something that Arteta will look at now, you know, pick a captain from that team. And I think he done that with Aubameyang, didn't he? When Xhaka got it taken off him, I'm sure he asked the players, and Aubameyang was the vote. So maybe he'll do that again.
Can you ever see Aubameyang giving it up?
I don't think so.
Taking a leaf out of your book.
I don't think so, no, because maybe in his mind he might think he's not done anything wrong. You know, sometimes those players, you know, we're a million miles away on that note. But I just think it's something that it's never going to stop now, is it? You know, everyone's going to bring it up. So Aubameyang's done this. Why is he captain? They're the questions that Arteta's going to get now until Aubameyang plays again. And if he is showing that sulking, because I've been there as well. I've been there when you've sulked when you've not been playing. I've been there loads of times, but what he's done wrong, Aubameyang, is that he's went and done what he's done this week, which is unforgivable.
That's a big thing to do, though, isn't it, for a club that you absolutely love, to give up being the captain? Did you make the decision quite quickly, or did you think sort of long and hard and discuss it with your family? Or?
Yeah, I did think, yeah, definitely. But I think the thing with what I went through was that because the club was so disappointed in the incident, and it just felt like the right thing to do, you know.
You didn't regret it?
No. It's definitely the right thing to do. It's not fair on a club. I feel like a club captain needs to be someone who's a professional, you know, on and off the field. In my later years, I wasn't, you know, and I'll hold my hands up for that. Villa fans know that themselves, and that's why I give the armband up. And you know, other players might do that in the future. Maybe Aubameyang needs to look at himself now and think, you know what, I don't deserve to be captain of Arsenal. Someone else, like a Tierney, you know, even give it to a younger lad who's going to get games like Saka. You know, I got given the armband at Aston Villa when I was quite young from Alex McLeish, and it might be a younger lad that gets it.